Hello, I'm Tim Krul. Welcome to Norwich City Central.
Hello everybody, Lewis, Norwich City Central. I hope you're all doing well. Norwich City 0, Middlesbrough 0. One of Norwich's worst performances of the season, no doubt, but they still managed to get a point against a team who is 7th in the division. In this game, I'll be discussing all of the action in Norwich's draw against Middlesbrough. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. But of course, the main headline in that game is Buendia's red card. He does have a habit of getting red cards. I've never known a Norwich City player to get quite so many red cards, although I'll be discussing the red card and whether I think it was. Spoiler, I do not think that was a red card, but I'd love to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section as Norwich City draw to Middlesbrough. And yeah, despite Norwich City going down to 10 men in the last 20 minutes, Middlesbrough continue to time waste, continue to cheat by influencing the referee. And it's just really disappointing to see. I thought Middlesbrough might have gone on and then they should have gone on and won the game when Norwich City put such a poor performance, but they didn't. And that's it. And it's one of those games where Norwich City were really poor, but we just got Neil Warnock to where they were just so defensively sound, and every 10 seconds their players rolled around and decided to waste the game. That's how it goes, and hopefully in the next games we can improve. 2 away games, Millwall away, and then the next Saturday where Buendia will be back in action against Swansea away, who are of course in the 2nd in the division. That'd be a brilliant game of football where teams actually go and try and attack and win games of football, which I'm looking forward to. In terms of the action in this game, as I said, it was very minimal. Particularly in the first half, Middlesbrough defended really deep. Interestingly, Fisher man-marked Todd Cantwell for the entirety of the game. It was a really interesting tactical decision. You don't normally see that too often, but Todd Cantwell was just marked for the entire game. And yeah, very interesting tactic. The last time I remember that happening was Ander Herrera, when Mourinho was in charge of Man United. And I saw Fisher did the post-match interviews as well. It was very interesting to see Fisher actually stay on his feet when he was doing the interviews as well, because he spent more time on his arse on the football field. But Norwich City started well. It was good to see a lot of players come back in. Timo Pukki coming back from his injury, and Demetrius Giannoulis as well started and made his debut. I thought he was promising. Max Aarons and Demetrius didn't really have too many opportunities to go forward and attack that much, but overall Demetrius Giannoulis I thought was good defensively. Made a couple of errors in the first half, but yeah, I do like the look of him. Mario Rancic was in that number 10 role, and that's probably the one position which is up for grabs, that number 10 role, because you've got Stuperman, you've got Kieran Down, of course you've got Hernandez and Borjete, and then you can move Cantwell into the number 10. So that's the big position which is kind of up for grabs in this Norwich City side. But Mario Rancic was the most threatening. A lovely run forward in the 6th minute, and he looks like he's going to score, but he just takes a heavy touch on the edge of the box. Manages to get his shot away, but the Middlesbrough player manages to close them down, and Rancic's effort goes just wide of the post. He then had some room in the 15th minute. Rancic arching his body away from the defender, and from 18 yards curling his effort over the bar. But it was one of those games where Norwich City was restricted to long shots. Of course, the refereeing performance was really disappointing, and definitely the worst refereeing performance I've seen this season. But the fact of the matter is Norwich City were not good enough to win this game of football. No shots on target, and yeah, it was a disappointing one. Middlesbrough didn't really have too many chances though going forward. We kept them at bay. Grant Hanley's pace got us out of a lot of troubles at times, and yeah, that was kind of it for the first half. It was a game where Middlesbrough defended really deeply. Norwich City had lots of the ball. Grant Hanley and Ben Gibson were almost playing as number 10s at times, and that was it. The second half kind of continued in the same fashion. Middlesbrough coming out and defending really deep. Norwich City trying to move the play, but because Middlesbrough had such low blocks and they were just defending on that 18-yard line, it was so hard to get players running behind them in terms of having pace in behind the defence. They were just a brick wall, and that's kind of what you've got to expect from a Neil Warnock side at times. I think I saw a statistic: Norwich's last 5 games have all been 1-0 wins against Neil Warnock's Middlesbrough, which is just hilarious. So that does continue these six clean sheets in a row against Neil Warnock's Middlesbrough. But of course, we couldn't get another 1-0 win. And if we did get that 1-0 win, I think that the commentator said it would be the first time in English history that a side have managed to beat another side all by the same scoreline 6 times, which is a crazy stat. And yeah, it was one where Middlesbrough started to grow in the game. Their main aerial threat was, of course, set pieces. And they did have a couple of good chances. Johnny Howson, who I thought was the best player on the pitch, of course, an ex-Norwich player and someone I miss very fondly. Best known, of course, for his efforts in our promoting winning season. Of course, saving a pigeon against West Ham. I wonder if you guys remember that. But Howson from a corner, good header, free header, he really should be scoring, and it's straight at Tim Krul. And that was really their best chance. But the key moment in the game happened in the 65th minute, and it was from Buendia, of course. And there's been quite a few videos where I've been discussing Buendia and his antics. This is Buendia's fourth red card for Norwich City. This is, of course, his third season at the club. And this is his third red card, I believe, in the last 6 months, which is not a statistic you want. Of course, he got sent off on our last home game in the Premier League against Burnley. He got sent off in November against Stoke. So he had a sending off in July, November, and then, of course, in January as well today. But it's really harsh. He got a yellow card in the first half, which was a deserved yellow card. Johnny Howson looked him with the ball. Middlesbrough were going to break, and Buendia chips Howson up. That's a yellow card. This decision here, I think, was a terrible decision, and one which the referee got wrong. If you look at the image here, George Saville actually jumps in the air. Now, which player in that image looks more out of control? Buendia, who's sliding across the ball. It's a loose ball, and who's more in danger? Buendia, who's sliding across, who's on the floor, or George Saville, who jumps 2 feet into the air to try and win the ball. Now, what happens? They both collide on the floor. Just because of the angle they came in, Buendia comes at him from the side. The referee plays advantage, and Middlesbrough don't score. And then what happens is all the Middlesbrough players continue to moan, continue to cry like babies, like run up to the referee's face. It was ever so unsporting. I don't think I've ever seen a more unsporting team. They all get in the referee's face, and then Buendia gets the red card. Now, by the rules of the game, that shouldn't happen. The referee actually dismissed the rules of the game. When someone's on a yellow card and you play advantage, you don't play advantage. You give them the second yellow and give them a red. I'll put the rules on the screen there. That is what should have happened. So Buendia shouldn't have got a second yellow card. Either the referee should have blown up immediately or let the game continue. So clearly he was influenced by the Middlesbrough players. And for me, Buendia is a world-class player. Did he need to make the challenge? No, you've got to always be careful on a yellow card, but still, it's not a yellow card offence in my opinion, not at all, particularly when Saville goes in a more dangerous manner, and there was very little contact, and yet Saville goes screaming. It was just really disappointing to see such an unsporting team, and that's not how football should be. Really, really disappointing to see. And then we're down to 10 men in the last 20 minutes. Middlesbrough are 7th in the table. They're meant to be a good championship side, but they sat back. They continued to time waste, which was a very interesting tactic. And Norwich couldn't really create any chances with 10 men. So the last 20 minutes petered out, and it was a 0-0 draw. I was surprised Middlesbrough didn't attack more and try and go and win the game, but they were happy with a point. And obviously coming to the league leaders, that's how they felt. Overall, Norwich City didn't deserve to win the game. Neil Warnock's defensive masterclass, as always. But it was still really disappointing to see Middlesbrough's antics in terms of the constant time wasting, the referee's very weak performance, and those factors were really irritating. But overall, a 0-0 draw. It's one of those games you just move on from, and I'm sure Norwich City will be okay. I just think it's one of those blips, and that Neil Warnock effect. So yeah, whilst Buendia is an incredible player, sometimes his weakness is his temperament, and sometimes when things aren't going his way, his attitude drops, and obviously sometimes he doesn't always think with his head in terms of he just goes into challenges, and he's got to take some responsibility for that. But despite that, this was a key turning point in the game, and despite that, I still don't think it was another yellow. But I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. An Buendia red card changes the game, but it ends Norwich 0, Middlesbrough 0. Norwich is still top of the table and are the best team in the division, but it's an opportunity for some of the other teams to close that gap. But I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Full time at Carrow Road, Norwich 0, Middlesbrough 0. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.